I get them in the evening too. I get the blues in the morning. How about you? I get that lonely, lonely feeling they call the New London Blues. I get the lonely, lonely feeling they call the New London Blues.
Here we are. There I am.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like me.
Yeah.
I'm David Hayes, and my partner here in this event is one Larry Hample, who is sitting across from me. This is the Friday version of the LOT show. We meet as a group every second and fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m. at the New London Senior Center. And if you look at our little logo here, you'll see looking out for taxpayers for fair and responsible government. We're interested in improving the nature of New London's governance. We want responsible government, we want transparency and efficiency. And sometimes these things are hard to come by. But good things occasionally happen. And we have, between the two of us, Larry and I, have a lot of things we could talk about. And if you have some questions for us, I hope you will call in and we'll try to answer them. If we can't answer them, we might just punch the delete button and we'll be deleted.
I hope somebody calls in to give us answers.
Yes.
Not all the time questions.
Right. Well, one subject that has come up again recently is the schooner Amistad. The Amistad is, in a manner of speaking, New London's own tall ship. She is in receivership now, court-ordered, with several $1 million of debt and no explanation that I have heard of, or that the Day apparently knows about, why and how the State Department of Economic and Community Development kept sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Amistad people without getting legally required audit reports, even after Amistad America, which was his name back then, lost its nonprofit status for failure to file required federal tax returns. This is a fact that was known to the DECD. Our local officials didn't pay much attention. The Amistad has proven to be a major tourist attraction when it's available. So why don't New London officials pay attention? State Representative Diana Urban of North Stonington is the only elected official who attempted to do something about this. We're talking about lots of money going down the tube. And according to the latest things that's happened in the, according to, what's his name, David Collins.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't pay some of this money, the receiver can force federal sale of the Amistad. Somebody has got to come up with money to avoid that catastrophe.
Who would they attempt to sell it to? Another town or
I don't know. It doesn't say. I guess if you sell a vessel like that, you know, whoever's got the highest bid owns the vessel.
But the Amistad, you know, I always thought it really belonged in New London.
It does belong in New London. It's, as I said, it's New London's tall ship. And it has a history here going way back when, you know, when they brought slaves over and so forth, and all these events took place. But now it's in semi-limbo unless somebody comes up with a way to prevent, they have to pay off some of that debt. You know, there was a court ordered a receiver. I don't know who that receiver is, but unless some of that debt can be paid off, at least in part, the federal court has the right to put it up to auction and sell it. And that could very well mean that New London will have lost its ship.
Just like they had no interest in the Bounty when that was here.
Yeah, well, you know.
This Amistad too. No, this one
that
is much more closer to home. You know, I mean, belonging to
Yeah.
home here.
Yeah,
I'd hate to see them lose it.
I would hate to see it lose it too. You know, one curiosity about that is that before a lot of this stuff happened, my sailing son-in-law was a captain of the Amistad. And he did fairly well with them, although he did at one point when they were running short of money have there's some federal law dealing with mariners that if their wages are not paid, the ship can be seized by the feds until they pay the payroll. That never happened, but anyway,
No.
So
No, go ahead.
okay.
No.
Well, okay. There was a day headline recently coming from Fenicio, who, as most of you know, is the mayor of New London, and he proposes doubling the library budget, the New London library budget, from the present $625,000 to $1,247,000. Now, what's her name? Marianne, I've forgotten her name, Suzeski or something like that. A very nice lady. But anyway, this is of particular interest because not too long ago, a couple of years ago, Fenicio proposed a major cut in library funding.
Yeah.
I mean, a really major cut.
They're practically shutting it down.
Yeah, and that produced a lot of very strenuous objections at the subsequent council meetings. And now he, in effect, is he learning from experience? The question is, where is that additional money coming from?
Yeah, but the other question is why all of a sudden now he wants to double it? Could that have anything to do with an election coming up?
You think it could?
Oh, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Maybe somebody might know the answer. That when you start handing out money,
yes,
you know, in an election year.
Yeah.
But in this town, I guess that doesn't sound suspicious at all.
Well, that depends on what I don't know. But anyway, it's quite a turnaround. And you may very well be right. He's trying to buff up his image because we're only how many months away from the next election, which comes in November of this year.
Yeah. So what's that?
That's
11?
11 months.
Or 10 and a half?
10 and a half
Well,
months.
closer to 10 actually, because the election is the first Tuesday of November.
Yeah.
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 Well, you got to give Fenicio credit. He's a good talker, and he's a capable politician, even when we don't approve how he does things or what he does sometimes. The question in my mind is, the council would have to approve that. Will they approve it, and where does the money come from?
Well, don't they usually approve whatever he says?
Well, that might be a problem for them. I mean, you don't just come up with $600,000 by, clicking your fingers. Oh, by the way, it's in that satchel sitting over next to my desk.
Supposing he wanted $600,000 to redo his office.
He
Would
already
he have a
did
problem?
that.
Would he have a problem to find that?
No, he didn't.
Line 2.
Oh.
2 calls.
Oh, my.
Wow, okay. Good evening. You're on with Larry and David of LOT.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Okay.
I agree with both of you. Good show going tonight. Larry, you're right. He's running for re-election, so why not come up with $600,000 for the library? It's also, it seems odd, his first year in office, the Martin Luther King parade, he wanted to charge them the normal parade and make them pay for fees for police and everything. This year, he waived all that. Coincidence again, re-election campaign.
Yeah.
He also is taking credit for Obama's nod to the Coast Guard Academy.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Union. So what do all these three things have in common? He's running for re-election.
Yeah.
On the $600,000 for the library, I find it odd. We can increase for the library budget, but we're at odds for our budget to put more police on the street. And on that note, I'll leave you guys for comment.
Well, thank you for calling.
Yes. Call again.
Call again.
Oh.
Hello, you're on with Larry and David, The Lot Show.
Again, I think.
Yeah, hit it again.
Hit it again.
Red.
Hello.
No, hold
Not
it.
yet.
Hold it down a bit. No? Uh-oh.
All right, I'll be up.
You get her? Okay.
Okay.
Well, we have
So-
somebody that agrees with us a little bit.
That's good.
Wonderful.
That's good.
We don't have that very often.
No.
Oh?
The,
I wonder if that button just,
Oh, the button broke?
maybe. No,
Oh.
there you go.
She knows how to press the button.
good evening.
Hi, Larry and David.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Okay.
Terrific.
So listen, we're going to give double the amount to the library.
That's what he says.
Yeah, and what else did he say he was going to do? Well, it
Remind
doesn't
us.
really matter, because when it comes right down to it and the budget comes out and the council cuts it, then it's their fault.
Right.
Or when he raises taxes, it's because their fault.
Right.
So he doesn't have to take responsibility
Oh, yeah.
for it. He looks like the good guy.
The nice part about being in Finizio's position is you can take credit for the good things and deny any responsibility for the bad things.
Absolutely.
That just proves that he's a very capable politician.
Well, we have to be capable voters and taxpayers and understand that.
Well, the thing about that is it's too bad that more taxpayers don't pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
There's too much apathy, and too many people do not bother to vote. I mean, if you look at the last election, how many, 25% of the voters bothered to vote?
Yeah.
So do we get good government that way, or whatever government?
We get the
Yeah.
best politicians money can buy.
Yeah, I totally agree. You guys have a good evening and keep up the good work.
Well,
Yes.
And and don't double the the money so you can point your finger when somebody else says.
oh,
can't
if
do
I
it.
point a finger, it's going to be at my partner like this.
Oh,
You take care.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Bye bye.
talking about blaming other people.
Yeah.
Well, when he announced in the paper that he said 25% of the taxpayers, their taxes are going up, and 75% of the taxpayers, their taxes are going down. Well, I walked up to him and I asked him, why did you do this? I said, that's not right, that's not fair, why did you do it? Oh, shifting the blame. He says, oh, it wasn't me, it was the tax assessor. She made that decision?
Sure she did.
How long would she keep her job if she did something like that? So, when you're talking about the vote, well, think of this with that 25% paying and 75% not paying. That's 1 out of 4 is paying, and 3 out of 4 is getting a bonus. All right, so 3 out of 4 people, who were they going to vote for? The guy that gave them the bonus.
Right.
You know, this happens in an election year. Do you think that might have anything to do with that deal?
You know, it wouldn't be difficult for me to think of you as being somewhat cynical.
Cynical? Okay.
Oh, there are all these things going on.
Okay,
and-
before we get too far away from the Amistad,
Okay.
that's what I was going to ask
right.
you about before.
Okay.
That, well, the ship itself.
Yeah.
It's been so many years since I was close to it, but I don't remember how long it is. I know it's smaller than the others, and I noticed the masts on it have a much, what would you say, much more angled rake to them. Well, someone else asked me about that, and I gave him my answer. But you, being part of a sailing family, would probably know the true answer. I said, well, I think what it is, the boat being smaller and they're sailing the ocean, that when you rake the mast back like that, it helps to lift the bow up.
It could.
In the, you know, coming, you know, running into the waves.
Yeah.
I says, I think that's the answer to it, because I noticed that the catamarans in Australia, because they're sailing a big surf all the time in high winds, they have a much more radical
The raking of
of the mast. And I'm pretty sure the reason is, you know, is to keep the bow coming up.
That could be.
But,
I don't know.
You're not. Oh.
No. The
No,
biggest
okay.
thing I ever sailed myself personally
No.
was a 10-foot Dyer Dow.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
They were a lot of fun.
Yeah, you could spin those around on a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's about it on Amistad. Unless somebody else would call in with the right answer, or verify mine.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so then one other thing that has come up recently that I think could be quite important is the appointment on the recent city council meeting, Monday, January 5. The city council,
Oh, I fell asleep.
that's okay,
I fell asleep.
appointed a New London Charter Revision Board.
Oh, they did?
Yes. Now this, you know, the difference is
The
that,
board or a committee?
no, a board
The board.
that has no limit on the time it can serve.
Well, I thought that would be the committee.
That's the commission, the revision commission,
Oh,
is subject to a 16-month
yeah.
term of office, so to speak. And this is a good thing for the council to have done, because it lets whoever gets appointed to the board take as much time as they need to go through the whole charter and decide what needs to be revised. There are things that are totally unnecessary in it, of one kind or another, things that just don't exist anymore, but they're still in the charter. There's something else that would be beneficial, according to some, and that includes, for example, the way the Board of Education is elected. All 7 seats on the BOE are up every second year for election, which means that you have the potential for having a virtually new Board of Education every other year.
Oh,
So that you can lose any continuity. And one of the things the Charter Review Board could do is suggest that the charter be changed so that the Board of Ed people have staggered terms.
staggered, yeah.
Which might annoy some of them, but on the other hand, some of them probably need to be changed. But anyway, that was one of the things that would be a desirable alteration. If that gets to the appropriate revision commission. when you, it's been a while since I've actually read the charter, but there's a lot in it that's just archaic and not pertinent to the real world anymore. And if they could come up with a simplification of the charter, that would be a big help. It would save paper too when they finally got it done.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway,
so when they come up with these revisions and say this is what we recommend,
yeah.
so then they submit it to the city council, right?
Well, they submit it. The city council has to appoint a charter revision commission to act on the recommendations.
Okay, I'm getting some of them out of line here.
Well, the thing about that is the Charter Revision Commission, which has 16 months to do its thing, they can do their thing, and the last time around, suggestions were made, and the city council tossed them
Just
out.
scratch them off.
Yeah, that had to do with the school finance board, seems to me.
Yeah.
They wanted to combine the city finance and
yeah.
the school finance board, and the council threw that out.
Yeah.
Now they're talking about doing it again, not throwing it out, but proceeding with it. And Jeff Smith, as I watched the city council meeting recently, he suggested the same thing, only he said, when asked, how long will this take? He was talking about next year to do this, until sometime next year. And I'm sort of scratching my head and wondering, why does it take so long to do something like that? But I'd always thought, and a lot of other people had thought, that combining these city and schools finance boards and their information technology would be a good idea. But
yeah, one central office.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what happens to molasses in January?
It doesn't. It doesn't move, huh?
No, it doesn't move. But
Does that mean their feet are stuck in it, or?
I don't know.
Oh, speaking of molasses,
Yeah.
I remember seeing on TV so many years back when the big tank of molasses up in Boston exploded or broke.
Oh, okay.
The town was flooded with molasses. Imagine that.
Only,
Speaking of, or not speaking of molasses, in your opening monologue, I think you forgot to mention a little bit about our upcoming meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You're right. Good. We have, this is the next council meeting, not lot meeting.
Lot meeting, yeah.
Which is on, let's see if I can find it in here. I got the right year, now I just got to have the right day.
So
It's the 28th.
the 28th.
And it's a meet and greet meeting, and we're supposed to bring food. And
Food or, no, I'm confused. Is it food or a potluck, or is it just snacks?
Well,
last I heard, I think it was just snacks.
just snacks? Well, we're supposed to bring something.
Yeah.
The easiest thing for me to do was to bring a pie. You can snack on pies. But we're hoping that people who we don't ordinarily see come to this meeting.
Yeah.
And if all went well, we might even get a couple of new members.
Yeah. Well,
Because we are running short on young, vigorous members.
yeah, well, like the city council is always scraping the bottom of the barrel for the budget.
Yeah.
Well, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for some helpers.
Yeah, that's true, because the last that referendum stuff, that cost quite a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the most we ever spent.
Yeah.
And even with the fundraisers and
Yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
it's not that easy for such a small group. But speaking of the last referendum, I heard some people were disappointed with the outcome. But
Oh, they were told how to vote, and if you vote for against the referendum,
Oh, yeah.
there will be no increase in taxes.
Well, I guess I was speaking about people a little closer to home, about saying, well, it kind of, flunked out. And I tried to explain to the people that, wait a minute, what's a petition for? I says, the petition is to give people the right to vote on how their money is being spent. Now, you all say, sign the petition so we can vote, and when you're in there, you vote whichever way you want.
Right.
The whole idea is to get out the vote. Now, we, with a lot of outside help, got the petition signed, so we had the referendum, even though it was late.
Yeah.
And a lot of people did come out to vote. In fact, it was more than we got on a presidential election.
Yeah.
And I noticed people outside of New London were so interested, they came by the busloads. A lot of them said union members, but they came down to instruct the people here on how to vote. They were so happy that we were voting.
Right.
And the college kids from Conn College up there, they were so interested in voting down here that they came running down the hill to help us to vote.
Fenicio asked them to come down.
Well, see, he does good things.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were interested in it. And I said, no, remember this. It was our group that gave you the right to vote. The city council will never give you the right to vote on how they spend your money. Remember that.
That reminds me of something else.
Uh-oh.
No, charter revision. That it would be possible to revise the charter in such a way that you would avoid the need for referendum votes taking place 6 months into the fiscal year.
Oh, yeah.
You could revise it in such a way that
so many, 2 months or whatever, within 60 days, something like that.
Yeah, which would make more sense, because that got to be kind of bizarre. And I remember being at council meetings when we're trying, hey, how can you do this? How can you have a vote on the budget when half of the money has already been spent and people are trying to tell you not to spend any more?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
So that would be another benefit of revising the charter.
Oh, I got another theory.
Ah, okay.
Would you be interested in it?
I'm always interested in theories rather than fact.
Well, remember way back when the mayor said, we got to get this $168 million bond business settled by June 30th?
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to lose it?
Yeah.
Well, my theory is this, that also at that time is when he came out with this, well, we're dropping the assessment on your house, but 25% of you are going to have to pay higher taxes, and 75% are going to pay less taxes than the year before. But we're lowering the assessment on your house. Now, you think about it. If he lowered, this is all supposed to be done by June 30th too, you know. Now, if he lowered the assessments on all the houses in town, or any taxable property in town, that means the grand list drops down, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, the grand list drops down. So, he goes up to Hartford and says, hey, Gov, we want $168 million, you know, to play with. You know, just, you know, we want to bond it so we can play with it. And the Gov looks at it and says, well, yeah, that seems like a pretty good idea, but let's see your financial statement. Oh, I see here your grand list in town went down $400 million. How do you account for that? Now, it seems to me like your town is shrinking. Maybe you can't afford to pay back that $168 million. You think that might have something to do with his rush to get this all settled by June 30th?
Could be. You know, there's so many ifs, ands, and buts going on. If you think about the connection between Fenicio and our governor, the governor pays political favors to people of his party.
Oh, no, we don't do things like that.
There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's a way of politics. But the thing is, in order to do that with, you know, Betsy Ritter, the new Department on Aging, she lost the election to Paul Formica. She lost 7 of the 8 towns in which she had been previously elected.
Wow.
And what does the governor do? He creates a new department or a new commission on aging just for her.
Just for her.
Just for her. So now she gets, instead of $28,000 a year as a representative, she stands to get $125,000 a year as the head of this department.
Wow.
And preside over an overall department which has a budget of many millions of dollars. Now, that is doing favor for your friends, and you can bet he never sent out a search for somebody to do this. He gave this plum to one of his political pals to pay her for past service for the Democrats. Now, if you think about it a little bit, this makes the governor and Fenicio even more alike than you might suspect. When Fenicio said he wasn't going to run, when did he change his mind? As soon as the governor got reelected. If that bad guy, the Republican, got elected, Fenicio wouldn't be running anymore because he would know there was somebody up in Hartford.
I demand a recount.
Right.
Will that help?
Yes, it would. It would help a lot. But the thing about that is so bad is it's not that Betsy Ritter is a bad person or anything like that. It's just
the way he did it.
The way he did it. And that brings up the other point. How did, as soon as Fenicio got, got a call.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought, okay. Hello, you're on with LOT.
Good evening.
Beg pardon?
Dennis from New London.
Dennis? Hey, Dennis, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh, God, now what? You're going to have to get in line.
No, when I was watching you at Talk,
Yeah?
the first subject you brought up was the problem with the 3 women sailors on subs.
Not three, just women in general on subs.
Well, these are going to be specially trained people, and I was finding myself thinking...
They're all track stars.
Dennis, you're living 30 years in the past.
Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe you're absolutely right. You know, and that could be, but... You know, the human nature, and, you know, when you're trapped in a can for months at a clip, you know, and all you see is men in the past, and now you're seeing somebody walk past you that looks a little bit different from the back than a man, you know, things happen. I'm telling you. We'll see who ends up being living in the past.
I'm very suspicious about you.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be worth the effort. I mean, I don't know what's accomplished by it.
So my question to you now is, what does your wife think about this?
Oh, I didn't tell her.
Oh, aha.
Hey, I learned from you guys. All right, I want to talk about, you were just talking about the governor and the mayor and creating positions for people because they're basically all Democrats, and they're trying to keep this state and this city Democratic as much as they can, and they've succeeded for a very long time. But they get away with all this crap. A lot of this stuff they do, especially in the city and the state, it's such a fine line between legal and illegal, in my opinion. And the reason they get away with this is because they outnumber everybody in the state by such a large margin that nobody challenges them. And the more you don't challenge somebody when they're kind of doing something wrong, they're going to keep on doing that until they get slammed. And I don't see that anybody gets slammed in this state or city in a long time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Take the business with the transfer station. You know, the guy who died there, no one was ever penalized for that in any way.
And if you think about it, the state and OSHA came into the picture, and what did they do?
They
yelled at them.
Well,
on the wrist. Now, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but this isn't the first time they've had a problem at that transfer station. They were fined once before in the past.
Yeah.
They were fined, I forget how many thousands of dollars. And the reason it was going to be a lot more, but they didn't fine them that much because they were told that the city would take care of the issue. So when OSHA went back there, when this last incident happened, they saw the exact same problems that were there before. They realized that the city did absolutely nothing to correct the problem. And if they had corrected the problem, this might not have happened.
Right.
So what do? They fine them again, but not a lot of money, and nobody's accountable for it. The mayor had to know about it. The public works guy should have known about it if he didn't. And nobody's being, well.
Well, thank you for calling in, good sir. We have another call.
Excellent. I'll talk to you guys. I'll see you in the morning.
Okay.
All right, bye.
We'll be prepared for you.
Yeah, I'm going to get you, Doc.
Thanks. Good evening. You're on with Larry and David. This is the LOT Show, and what can we do you for?
Hi, is this the Larry and David show? Or is it the David and Larry show?
Well, it depends
Take your pick.
It depends. Well, D comes before L, so it should be the David and Larry
so
show.
you're right, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. 2,000 people voted yes for the budget and 15 voted no. So that's a total of 3,500 votes.
Right.
Now, from what I can gather up, there were 5,000 people that voted.
I don't know. All I know is it was about 1/4 of the eligible voters.
Okay, so that's close.
And the interesting...
Anyway, what happened to the 1,500 people? Say it was 5,000. They didn't vote on the questions, I take it.
I guess there were some who didn't.
Yeah.
What bothers me about this to some extent is if you look at what was said about one of these events where, it was a school board person, a spokesperson for the school board said that something was approved by an overwhelming majority of the voters, when in fact it was only 25% of the total number of eligible voters. So even if that 25% all voted as the guy thought they should, how can you call that an overwhelming majority? You're ignoring 3/4 of the electorate. Hey.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Another thing, who in their right mind will vote for a tax increase? I haven't heard that any towns have voted for a tax increase.
I can answer that for you.
Yeah.
Very easily. If you heard me before, I will repeat it. Because people, I think, still don't understand what went on. The mayor said 25% of the people, or taxpayers, are going to pay higher taxes than they did the year before. And then he says 75% of the people are going to be paying less taxes than they did the year before. So there's 75 people that are thinking they're going to be paying less taxes. So why not vote for higher taxes? It's not going to hurt us because the mayor said we're going to pay less taxes.
Okay, so who are the 2,000 that voted yes?
The 2,000 that voted yes are part of the 3 out of 4 persons that are paying less taxes. That's very easy to figure out.
Less taxes, or they don't pay property tax?
Well, no, it's less property taxes. No, think about it. You go into the polls, and already you know the vote is going to be 3-1 against you, because 3 people out of 4 are going to pay less taxes. The mayor said so. And it's only 1 person out of 4 that gets stuck with paying higher taxes.
What about people on their car taxes? They didn't pay less.
Well, they didn't realize that at the time.
Well, they know it now.
Well, let's hope they know it now.
Well, let me tell you, 38 mills is one of the highest in the state.
38?
Yeah, that's one of the highest. I think like West Hartford is 42.
Well,
something like that. But I'm going to get off the air right now, but I just want to mention about the school, the Magnet High School.
Right.
Let's build as new, not new, renovate. That would save us a lot of money and the state. And the state doesn't have the money right now anyway, so there's no point in even really talking about it.
Right.
We didn't meet the deadline, so
well,
I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Since when does the state not having money stop them from doing things they shouldn't be doing? They do it anyway.
You got a point there.
Yeah.
And they're not really being held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fault of we, the voters. Not enough of us pay attention to what's going on.
Well, why should I? I get a tax break. Why should I care what's going on? The mayor says I get a tax break. I'm going to vote for him every time. I don't care if he's an axe murderer. My taxes are down. He said so.
Mr. Hample.
Yes.
I am going to take your microphone away from you if you keep up this stuff.
Oh. Okay.
I'm going to end the phone call with Long Live New London.
Oh.
Okay.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you. Boy.
It does get to be interesting. Hey,
Yeah.
the board is clear.
Uh-huh.
One other thing, that this marvelous article, I didn't cut it out, but I brought it. David Collins, can voters overlook Fenicio's first term?
Well, he also says and reminds people about voters have short memories.
Yes, well, that's the same thing. It seems to me that New London Mayor Darrell Fenicio, in his latest iteration as a candidate for re-election after he stopped being the selfless, I'll step aside for the good of the city mayor, has to count on a short voter memory. After the mayor made his revived candidacy official with a rousing prediction for the great places he is personally taking the city, I couldn't help but remember some of the bigger embarrassments of the Fenicio years. For example, speaking before local college students, he complained about defense pork and said, "We have enough submarines."
Yeah.
Now, to say something like that in the local area, that's not very friendly.
In the paper the other day, didn't they say they're going to hire 600 more people?
Yeah. Wow, what an insult to the city's largest employer and major taxpayer, which designs and builds submarines. If the city were dominated by a clock factory, would the mayor suggest the world has too many clocks? I think that's pretty nifty.
Yeah.
As for scaring college students, remember when he went up to Connecticut College and asked students on the tax-free campus to come down the hill and vote for his budget with a whopping 7.5% tax increase. He warned, according to the college paper, that the city teetered on bankruptcy when really everyone else in the city knew that the most dire budget consequences in play were things like closing the senior center, which he did threaten to do.
Yeah.
Bankruptcy? Yikes. He told the students to vote for a tax increase to prevent a state takeover. This would crush the city of New London. Most businesses would fail, and the downtown that I'm sure many of you enjoy going to would be sacrificed to correct the budget gap.
Wow, catastrophe.
Yeah, I'd have to go eat someplace else.
Yeah. Hey.
Anyway,
Oh.
who will be able to forget all the mayor's doomsday news conferences and scares, fiscal calamity, the water system drying up, mass layoffs of firefighters, and other falling skies that in the end never budged? What of the calamities that he ignored? And that goes to the transfer station. Who can forget a city resident lost his life in an accident at the transfer station? A state investigation later revealed the result of willful and serious safety violations. Bingo. And I'm got to turn to page B3 now.
Oh, okay.
The city even ignored after being warned and fined. The Fenicio administration never conducted its own investigation into what went wrong beyond a police review, and no one was ever held accountable for the unnecessary death. The transfer station death became the substance of one of many lawsuits against the city from the Fenicio years, citing incompetence. There have been so many liability lawsuits that they made the city's insurance deductible soar.
Oh, can I add
You can add whatever
a happy note to all of this that's going on?
Please do.
Well, if anybody out there is interested, the other day I was part of a group going to Hartford to a couple of parking garages for a presentation on, I hate to say the word, parking meters.
Oh, yes.
And
okay.
so, folks, parking meters are on their way. So I let you know ahead of time so you can speak your piece when it really comes up to public hearing.
Yeah.
And see what happens. With this new system, my, you know, you put down your license plate number, and that's how they can tell if you're parking overtime.
So, can you use a credit card?
You can use a credit card. You can, well, I guess if you have special apps on your phone, you can pay on your phone.
Okay.
The one thing is, there won't be a meter at every space. Say, for instance, the Tilly parking lot.
Yeah.
There might only be 4 meters, you know, at the entrance exit.
Right.
So you get out of your car, you walk by the meter, you put your card in, and there's like a punch board. You know, you put in your license plate numbers and how much time you want, and it's taken off your credit card. One thing you can do with that, though, is if you say 2 hours or whatever, you know, all of that stuff has got to be worked out. That after an hour you change your mind and you move to some other parking space in town.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have to do it all over again because you still have an hour left. So then they have the meter maids come around, you know, with their meters.
I thought we got rid of meter maids.
And there's 2 part-time ones.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know, they're not short skirt maids, so.
Yeah, oh, darn.
And you can park in another place, still on your original, time that you have left. Which that was the only neat thing I thought. But who would really do that? Move from one place to another.
So a question.
The other thing is, if you're stuck, in a restaurant and your time is out, if you have that apps on your phone, you can dial in and ask for more time.
Hey, who pays for the meters?
Well, some time ago when this was brought up, there was a different way. I'm trying to remember. There was two different ways. The town would either pay for them, or the company that puts them in would pay. They would put them in, and then you just pay rent on it until, for so many years until you own it.
Until the city owns it?
Yeah. Something like that.
And I remember something about that. It looked like the time to pay off the cost of the meters was quite a few years.
Well, the time, I think 4 or 5 years ago, they brought one down so we could look at, but that was a monster. It was, it was that wide and about 7 feet tall. Those cost $12,000 each.
Ouch.
Now these are only about so wide, and I don't know, it'd be about that high, so you can punch the numbers in at like eye level.
Yeah.
But the discussion wasn't really on the price at all, but on how they operate. And one of the places was the Hartford Parking Authority.
Okay.
And there, the parking authority, the city council has no say about what they do.
Okay.
See, here, the parking commission, all we can do is make suggestions, and it's the city council that decides.
Right. Okay.
Well, just like the parking meters to begin with.
Yeah.
The parking commission gets the information and presents the information.
Okay.
And it's the city council that says...
down to 2.
Oh, okay. It's the city council that says, yes, we're going to have parking meters, or no, we're not going to have parking. It's not, not the parking commission's decision at all.
One other little gem that I didn't read has to do with the abandoned Lighthouse Inn. And when is Fenicio and company going to try to really do something about resurrecting that? Are you and I going to be here long enough to see that happen?
Well, look at parcel J. It's 43 years laying there empty. So we've had 42 mayors in that time. And what did they do? It's still a vacant lot.
Yeah, well...
So this is what the city council says, New London is going forward. Keep the momentum going. We're really going places.
Yeah, well,
this is what they mean.
Between Fort Trumbull and the Lighthouse Inn and a few other things like that, there's lots of room for improvement, but we still have the problem where the mayor said he wanted to abolish the Development Corporation.
Oh, yeah.
And change the name to Renaissance.
Yeah.
And it's now run by
Linda
Mariani.
Yeah. Who just happened to give
$1,000 to his re-election campaign. And there was some suggestion by, I think we're going green. Yep. We're out of business.
We're out of business.
We made it.
Okay.